Hello, salam, namaste, sat sri akal, and copy to all. This is Interurban KG, and welcome to my YouTube channel. So, guys, after staying in Australia for around 7 years, I have decided to go back to India. And how can I not share my journey with you? So, in this video, I will tell you all the basic things you need to know if you are transferring from one country to another, and if by chance you are moving back to India from any country, I will also share the things which you need to know regarding customs so that your journey becomes easier as well. So let's get on with it.
Get up on your feet, this is a shakedown. Order up that beat just like it's takeout. Show me you got soul inside those new shoes, and you can rock and roll with an attitude.
So when I decided to go back to India or change my residence from Australia to India, like everyone else, I had the same concerns, and basically there were two of them. One, what will happen to all my goods which I have bought here over a period of time? How much will it cost me to ship them to India? And my second concern was, what are the custom rules? Will I have to pay taxes on these refrigerators or TVs or the monitors which I'm using for a period of time? So let's address each one of them one by one. If you're moving continents, basically you will have only two options. Either you take it by air or you can take your goods by sea. So let's talk about the air option first. Now, air option is very expensive, and then there'll be weight limits, which means that you'll not be able to carry very heavy loads on an airplane, and even if you do, it will cost you a lot. And the second thing is, you'll have more problems in the customs because if you take your stuff with you, you'll have to pay extra baggage, and then you'll have to declare it. And while you land in India or any other country for that matter, you'll have to spend hours explaining what you're carrying, and then they'll open your bags and stuff like that. So if you have like couple of things which you want to take, say a couple of monitors or maybe couple of boxes, then maybe you can consider air freight. But if you have stuff more than that, like I had, sea freight is a better option. So let's talk about the sea freight. Now, when you're moving things on a sea freight or through the route of sea, as the name suggests, you need to hire a container. Now, you have two options to do it. Either you can hire a full container or you can hire a shared container. Now let's talk about the full container first. Generally, there are two sizes of these containers, which are 20 cubic meter and as well as the 40 cubic meter option. And there's one more container. I'll put a link in the description which will tell you the different sizes of the container. Now, in a nutshell, or say in summary, if you have goods which fill a decent amount of garage, which is 15 by 15, you're looking at around 20 cubic meter, which means a smaller container. And if you have stuff more than that, then obviously you'll have to go for the 40 feet container. Now, the prices of these containers keep on changing because before the COVID time, I know I made an inquiry, and a full container used to cost only around $4,500, and just after COVID they're charging $9,500 for the same container. So I'm not going to put the prices because they keep on changing. It's better you just find a sea freight mover in your area, call them, and they'll be able to let you know what is the cost of the full container. So the way they calculate it is very simple. So if you know the length, breadth and height of the goods which you're sending, and that too in meters, then you can just multiply it, and that's how the cubic meter will come. But if you have things which are smaller, which are generally in centimeters, like a TV, like a fridge, or maybe even a monitor, then you have to have the same formula, length into breadth into height, divided by 1,000,000. I'll put the formula of calculating sea freight in the description as well. Nowadays there's a website, you just put in your dimensions there and it'll tell you how much cubic meter it turns out to be, and then on the basis of that you can decide what kind of container you want, or even if you really need to have a full container, or you have to go for the option of the shared container. But do remember, although there are no weight limits as such when you're sending goods from sea freight, but a single box should not weigh more than 30 kgs for safety reasons. So let's talk about the shared containers now. Now, shared containers, as I just discussed, either you can share it with your friends, but what if you have stuff like I had, which is like less than 2 cubic meters, and you don't have any friends whom you can share a container with? Then there is an option of going for the freight companies which provide this service of a shared container. What they do is they basically find out people like us, and then they send these containers on regular basis, and they're shared by many people. Now the thing with these companies is that they have to wait for the container to fill. So the probability is, say you want to move on 1st of January, the container might be going end of January or first week of Feb, depending on when the container gets filled. So for them, they have to make sure that they are able to collect enough goods which fills around a 20 square feet or cubic feet container, so that they can ship it. And generally the shipping time, as I said, will vary, but from Australia it was around 2 months. Now, what are the good things about the shared container? The good things about the shared container is that these companies also give you options to pick it up from your house, and they'll drop it to the destination wherever you want the goods to go. The second thing also is that they can give you packing services. Obviously they charge extra for it. You can also get your stuff insured, but the thing is, if you have to take insurance from them, then they have to pack the goods as well, so you'll have to pay for insurance plus the packing. Now, if you're taking the insurance of the goods, you have to declare the value of each good, and the value should be the depreciated value, and that's the value on which you will be taxed, or the customs will have to be paid. So now you get into this catch-22 situation, that if you declare more to claim insurance, then you'll have to pay more duty in case you have to pay duty. So let's take an example. Say you have a TV which you bought 10 years ago, which was $5,000, and you're declaring its value as $1,000 after 10 years. Then you have to pay 38 to 48% tax in India on that, irrespective of the duration of your stay outside. So what people generally end up doing is they'll declare the value which is very less, and then the cost of the insurance itself will come out to be equal to the goods which you're declaring, so it doesn't make sense. But I'll still suggest that you should always try to take the option of at least they packing your stuff, because these are professionals and they do know how to pack stuff. You should always pay for those packing services. They're just $100 or $200 extra. But there are some disadvantages of the shared containers. One of the biggest disadvantage of them is that you have to wait for your goods, because these couriers will have to wait for the container to fill before they ship it. And the second most difficult thing which I found with them was that, for example, if the container is shared with multiple people, they will actually get the customs done on a central location. So for example, for me, although I'm moving to India and I'm moving to New Delhi, but the container will be coming down in Mumbai, and that's where the customs will check, and that's where the custom formalities will be taken care of. So in this case, what will happen is that you'll have to declare the value of the goods, and it's in the hands of the custom guy. If they agree with it, they'll tax you on the basis of that. If they don't, then you don't have an option to argue with them, unless you are really ready to travel from one state to another to just have that conversation with the custom officials. And mind you that these guys generally will ask you to pay the duty upfront, so that the goods are cleared when they reach the port. So let's talk about the Indian custom process now, which is perhaps one of the most concerning things which any Indian citizen will have if they're going back. So first, let's talk about eligibility. Who is even eligible to be considered as a person who is transferring the residence? I'll have to read this from the paper because there's a lot of information, but don't worry, I'm also putting a link in the description. Now, there are 3 categories of the people whom they consider as transfer of residence, and the custom free or the duty free limit is different for each type of person as well. So the first category is for the person who has lived abroad for 3 to 6 months. In this case, the aggregate value of the custom or the duty free goods is only 60,000 INR. And if you have lived for more than 6 months to a year outside, then the aggregate duty free value for you will come out to be 100k or 1 lakh rupees. Third category is if you have lived abroad for more than 2 years at a stretch, then the limit of duty free goods will be around 5 lakh. And remember, this is the depreciated value, so you will be declaring a depreciated value which the custom officials can question. But what I've been given to understand is that they generally don't, and I will let you know how it goes with me once my stuff arrives after 2 months. But there is one word of caution which I want to give. Although I did say that if you have lived abroad for more than 2 years, you have a custom free limit of around 5 lakhs, but there is a condition to it. You have to understand that if you have lived abroad for more than 2 years, you shouldn't have visited India in those 2 years for more than 6 months. And the second condition is that any of your family members shall not have a veiled transfer of residence in the last 3 years. And the last point which I'll also add to that is that even though there's a duty free limit of 5 lakhs, some of the things are still exempted from it. So you'll still have to pay taxes on something like a LCD or a TV or some goods. It'll take me too much time to go through each item on which you have to pay the duty irrespective of the duration of your stay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put all this information in the description of this video, and I will also put a link of Indian Customs site. But in nutshell, you'll have to pay a duty on almost every electronic equipment if you have stayed less than 2 years, and if you have stayed more than 2 years, some of the electronic equipment is exempted, like one laptop or microwave or a refrigerator. But as I said, the information is in the description. So I hope this information was helpful for you. If you like the video, do hit the like button and subscribe. And if you think there is any of your friends who is moving to India and will like to know all this information, do share the video. So that's it for this one. See you in the next one. Rab Raka.